Hello, my friend. Welcome to today's episode. Today, we're going to be talking about running. This is an episode where if you are wanting to get back into running, you are a beginner with running, you're like, oh, maybe this is something that I want to do for my physical, mental, and emotional health. We're going to talk about how you can really take yourself as a beginner and start to work up to maybe you want to train for a 5K, maybe you want to train for a 10K. I've got really, really great tips for you in today's episode. Welcome to Living in Sync. This is a wellness and lifestyle podcast for ladies in their 30s. We've got a lot going on, and on this show, we're going to talk about it all. I'm your host, Joelle. If you're into health, wellness, fitness, beauty, fashion, business, career, time management hacks, organization, girl chats, goal setting, mom things, and everything in between, I hope this show supports you in whatever you need today. Let's dig into today's episode. How has your guys' summer been? What have you been up to? We have really kicked off summer in the best way with all the activities, all of the things, you know, how it is juggling work and just trying to get outside as much as possible in the summertime since we live in the Midwest and this is the time of year where we are trying to get the most out of the sunny days. And so that is really one of the reasons why an episode hasn't dropped in a long time. I had some projects for work going on that was taking a lot of my mental space. And with podcast production and podcast producing, industry-wide, there are some people that are like, you cannot take a break in your episodes. You do not want to not be consistent for your audience. But our audience, I don't necessarily agree with that fully. I think that with anything in life, if you need to pause and take a break from it for your sanity or for the season or just to give yourself some breathing room, do that. And that happens with this podcast. This podcast has been going and reiterated and rebranded a handful of times since 2018. And the reason why I've been able to still love podcasting is because sometimes I take a break. And it's in a lot of times where I take a break, I hear from you guys like, oh, this episode, I really liked that episode. Because sometimes it really just feels like I'm talking to myself here behind the computer screen. I don't even have a mic today. I'm actually set up at my parents' house, so the audio quality might not be the best. But we're getting a new roof on our house and roofers are amazing. Oh my gosh, what they do, I could not. And also it's just loud. So I thought best for them, best for me if I packed up my stuff and I came to my parents' house to work today. And as I was on my walk/run, I thought to myself, you know, what did I really do when I thought to myself, okay, I want to get back into running. But what are the tips? Where do I start? What do I even do? So I'm going to talk about that today. And I just want to share, you know, before I had kids and before my husband and I got married, actually around when we were first dating, when we met, we were both training for the same half marathon. And we both started our training in like around January, and we were running that half marathon at the end of May. We thought to ourselves like, hey, let's train for this together. We were coworkers at the time, so we thought like friendly competition. And we ended up running that half marathon together. We finished it together. My husband actually really encouraged me and pushed me at the end of the race because I was hurting during the race. And it was just like such a special and precious memory. And our best man, my husband's best friend, included that story in the speech he gave at our wedding, which was just so incredible. And prior to that was the last time I really ran and trained for a race. But prior to that year, which was like 2012, I ran a lot and I ran all the time. I ran in high school, I ran in college. Like, there was just a lot going on for me in the teens and early 20s that running was my mental and emotional escape. And when I went through a situation where a secret came, I was holding this secret for years and years, and running was really my escape place mentally. After that, I started weight training and I found other forms of exercises. And in the weight training bikini body world, it's like running, ew, cardio, ew. But now, as a mom, and this is me telling you why I felt the nudge to get back into running, is because I have a 5-year-old boy who is like, Mom, chase me, let's play tag, let's do this. And when I literally would like jog to try to keep up with him, and it would be semi-painful, and I was like, I literally don't know how to run anymore. I thought to myself, like, what if I just started training? And this was around a long time ago, January. I've kind of intermittently been on jogging and whatnot, but I was like, I want to set a goal of running a 10K. And I'm very much like in shape when it comes to strength and cross training. I'm very flexible. I've got good balance, but my running and cardio is atrocious. So what I started to do at the beginning of this year, especially when it was cold outside and the conditions weren't great to start jogging, I wanted to start building up my cardio again. So this fall, I really focused on my spin bike, or this winter, I really focused on my spin bike to build up that cardio again. Okay, so that's where I started. I just was like, I'm going to do something really, really low impact. And if you don't have a spin bike, maybe you have access to an elliptical, or maybe you want to just start with walking and increasing your walking pace, right? Like getting your heart rate up to a comfortable beat where you could have and carry on a slight conversation, but just starting with building up that cardiovascular is where I started. Now, also during this winter time, I started searching on TikTok tips for beginner runners. And I started watching content. And of course, since it's TikTok, it started curating content for me about being a beginner runner. There's a lot of great creators that are having a little content on their tips and advice when it comes to form. So that's where I started. It's not like I decided, okay, I'm going to run this race and I'm just going to not put in the education around it, because, and this leads into really my first big tip. I'm opening up my notes app here, but I started to learn from TikTok, which led me to understanding that when I started running, I wanted to focus on form, not speed and distance. So when you do start jogging again and you are lacing up those shoes and you're about to do your first jog or your first handful of jogs, or for a while, start focusing on form, not speed. And I learned tips from TikTok, like with your arms, you don't want your arms to be moving too much. You really want to have your arms at your side, and you're kind of focusing more on an elbow back movement instead of your elbow coming, you know what I mean? Where it's like your elbows and arms are really, really going for it. Slowing down your pace and focusing on and paying attention to your core engagement. That's very important with running, and also where your foot is hitting. I am still working on that. I can tell that I'm not landing on my foot placement in the most optimal position, but I am starting to notice like I'm naturally doing, my arm swing is less. I'm focusing on elbows back, elbows back, elbows back, core tight, like core engaged, and really making sure my form is on point before I'm focusing on speed. Okay. The next tip is using music, not necessarily distance. So at this point, and this has been really since May, I have been focusing on having music fuel my movement. So you guys know I love a podcast, but I edit podcasts for a living. So I've brought music back into my workouts, and that has been super game changer for me. And when I started to go from walking and then wanting to jog and pick up the pace, I would do one song walking, one song jogging, one song, and then repeat that, repeat that, repeat that, repeat that, repeat that. And I would really only do my running, walking workouts for the duration that felt good in that day. Like sometimes it was 20 minutes, sometimes it was 45. I let my body really be intuitive with how long the duration of workout was. But I used the songs to run, walk. So I would switch when the song switched. Now I'm building myself up I start out with a walking song, and then I run for 2 songs. Walk a song, and then jog for 3. And then walk, and then jog for 2. And over time, what I want to do is just get to walking and then staying at a steady jog pace. But I'm still building that up with run or walk, jog workouts that are dictated by the song. So when the song changes, that's when I will change my pace from either walking to jogging. I always start out with a good warm up. That's very, very, very important when it comes to running, and making sure that you are taking the time to cool down. Stretching post running is so important. And then ending it with a little bit of your legs up on the wall. I just find that really feels good and prevents some sore muscles. So really great warm up and a really great cool down is going to be so key for recovery in your jogging. You're wanting to start jogging, running again. The next question that gets asked a lot is about eating before you run. And this is so dependent on the person, and it's something to play around with in the beginning and take notice of. I didn't eat in the beginning. Well, I don't eat anything because I've found that that's best for my body. I'm somebody who gets heartburn, acid reflux. So when I have something in my stomach and I work out, I start getting heartburn and indigestion, and that just does not feel good when you're jogging. But I would say, if you start and you're like, oh, I'm not going to eat anything before I do my walk run, and that just doesn't feel good for you, then I would maybe start with like a piece of toast or half a banana or an apple or a yogurt and some fruit, and play around with like what's going to be best for you. And then once you're like, oh, I had a really good run, I felt super great, take note of like, what did you eat beforehand? And then I would just genuinely stick to that. Some people need more before a workout. Some people like me can't, really have a great workout when there's something in your stomach and then you've got indigestion. Like that just feels awful and miserable. So that truly, there is no right or wrong. Don't overcomplicate it. Definitely just sit with, okay, what do I feel like my body would be best to be fueled by? Try that out. Become a scientist of yourself when it comes to your fitness and your nutrition. And take note of that. And once you find that thing that works for you, that fuels you really, really well, then stick with that. Okay. The next thing is shoes. So I invested in the shoes that the TikTok runner girlies recommended on, like at the height on TikTok, obviously. But I went with a pair of shoes that they're pretty spendy. I will link them. They are the Brooks Ghost Max or something like that. But what I did like is I got them through Amazon. So you have a try before you buy, and that's how I purchased them. I got them, I tried them out. Once I fell in love with them, I just kept them, and that's when Amazon charged me. Now, this is something obviously you have to be mindful of and responsible for. If you order them on Amazon, you hate them, you've got to send them back or else they will charge you. But getting really, really good shoes, a lot of people suggested going to a running store and getting your foot shaped, whatever. If you have the time, space, and capacity to do that, go ahead. I just know that would have been a barrier for me to not even get started because literally I didn't do the research on where one is local to me, if we even have one local to me anymore, but getting a really, really good pair of shoes. And then the last thing I'm going to cover is how I really am reverse engineering a race. I know there's the app called Couch to 5K. There's tons of training apps out there. And this is the method that a very skilled, very wise, very experienced running coach shared with my husband and I when we were training for our half marathon about reverse engineering to your race. So when you are training for your race, and especially something that's really long distance, like a half marathon, for me, this 10K is going to be a challenge for me. I'm carrying extra weight. I am way heavier than I used to be, obviously, before I had kids. And I also haven't ran in a really, really long time. So a 10K to me is like training for a half marathon. And so what he recommended was you reverse engineer. So from the day of your race, in a week and a half to 2 weeks. His recommendation was 2 weeks. So if you have a Saturday morning race, you want to 2 weeks before that Saturday morning race, do your longest run. So with the 10K, I'm going to do a 6-mile race 2 weeks out from that date. That gives you plenty of time to rest and recover. It gives your muscles kind of a trial run at that race. And then from there, just incrementally go backwards. So 2 weeks prior to that, I should run like a 4.5, 5-mile race. And then almost as many Saturday mornings as I can, run 3 miles up until that point. Now, my race is going to be gauged around end of summer or beginning of September. So once I have that race date set, I will then reverse engineer. If there aren't any that work for my schedule, I'm literally just going to run the 10K on my own. There's a different energy when you run around and with people, though. It just pushes you differently. So I want to run an actual race. And then his recommendation was run around 2, maybe 3-ish days a week, but don't skimp on continuing to strength train, mobility, and flexibility. So where he was saying and how he taught was, let's say you have the time in your life or you have the space in your life for 4 workouts a week. Well, then 2 of those workout days should be running, and then 1 of those should be strength, and 1 of those should be flexibility and mobility. So how this would work practically is 2 days run and 1 day strength, 1 day yoga, flexibility, mobility, whatever it is you want to do. Now, I'm more of a workout and move my body every day type of person. Yes, I move my body pretty much every single day because it helps me focus, helps my concentration. I feel good. I am very crabby on the days that I don't work out. So for me, it's 2 days really a week. I'm going to be focused on run/walking and building up that. And then I say run, I mean jog. Because it's a very slow paced jog for me right now. And then continuing to focus on strength training as well as core mobility and flexibility. So that is how I will be reverse engineering. Another tip that this very experienced running coach marathoner said was, yes, if your race is Saturday morning, try to get yourself and your body used to a routine that's waking up early on a Saturday and going for a run. And when my husband and I were marathon training, that's what we did for our workouts Saturday morning. Mind you, obviously we didn't have kids at the time. So both of us would wake up, have our coffee or pre-workout, head to the gym and warm up how we would warm up for race day and do a run. And that really helps prime your body for the rhythm and routine. Obviously, if that's not optimal for your schedule and you're like, oh, really the only time I can get in this type of workout is after I've worked a whole day, like don't let that be a barrier of not getting out there and getting your body built to that place of working on your jogging or your running or your working out. Because same with the eating question of what's the best thing to eat before my workout, and the answer is it depends on what works best for you and your body. Same with the timing of your workout. A lot of people are like, oh, well, I can't work out right away in the morning. Somebody told me that is the best time of day to get my workout in, therefore they don't work out. And really, whatever time of day works for you to work out is the best time of day to get your workout in, because a workout movement is better than nothing, whether it's on your lunch break or after work. I guess I wouldn't recommend working out before bed, but if that's what you have to do in this season of your life, then you accommodate and make it the best to what your situation is, okay? So I hope these tips were helpful. If they were, please send me a message on Instagram or leave a review for the show. You guys, I've put this out there to friends, to family. It's on my goal board for the summer that my kids see, that I see all the time. So I'm going to do this dang thing. And to some of you, you're like, running a 10K isn't a big deal. To me, it is. I haven't been a runner since before I had children. Intermittently in the summertime, the last couple years, I've set the goal of running, but I guess I never really took it seriously. I haven't ran in like official organized race. And here I go. So here were the hot tips today. Should I run through them just really, really quickly? The first thing was I got information on TikTok when it came to shoes and form and not focusing on speed right away, but really focusing on form, not distance and speed. I really used music to my advantage. So I didn't say like, oh, I'm going to run for 1 mile. I started doing my running, walking workouts with music based. So walk for a song, run for a song, walk for a song, run for a song. Once I really felt like I had that down, then it was walk for a song, jog for 2, walk for a song, jog for 2, walk for a song, jog for 2. And then it was like, okay, I'm going to get through 3 songs. I'm going to get through 4 songs. And that's as far as I've gotten thus far, if I'm being quite honest. I got through 4 songs without stopping my jogging pace. And today I did a 2.3 mile run, which was really, really cool. Oh, I will also link, I did get my Apple Watch just like died not working. It's more annoying than anything. I did get one off of Amazon. That's a like watch activity tracker, tracks your steps. I've really liked it. I think it's very affordable. It's kind of maybe mid-range. I don't know. I like it. I'll link it for you guys in the show notes. What were the other tips? What to eat, and then how to reverse engineer your race. Really, you're just thinking about race day. How many miles are you going to be doing? And then taper it back from where you are now. So if mine is the end of summer, me getting up to about 4 miles in July will be good. And then if I get myself up to around 5-6 miles mid-August, I really will feel comfortable with running a 10K at the end of summer or early September. I'm not quite sure which one I'm doing yet. So thank you so much for listening today, hanging out with me. You're really like kind of cooling down with me here after I just got in from a run, but finding joy in this, music is what's really made this fun for me. It's a mental challenge. It also helps me really clear my mind, because when it comes to jogging, I'm focused on those form tips. I'm focused on the music. My mind and my ears are really connected. Like I'm really trying to connect to like the beat of the music, stay in good form, and just take it one foot in front of the other. And it's a journey. And it's not that I think this is going to be what helps me lose weight. It's not for that reason at all. It's just truly to be well-rounded in my fitness, set myself up to be challenged again and prove that I can do it. Improve my tag skills, improve my running skills for playing with my boys. So thanks so much. What am I saying? Thanks so much for listening today. I will talk to you in the next episode. Bye. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you loved what you heard or you want to share your favorite episode topics, please leave a rating and review. This helps the podcast growth and gives people an idea of what the podcast is all about. Something new and exciting that I wanted to share with you before we go is that we now have a Patreon page. This has replaced the Feminine Edge collective community in a cohesive place that is easier for me to manage and cheaper for you. If you are interested in our monthly classes, exclusive day in the life vlogs, Bible studies, community Q&A, and more, go to patreon.com/livingInSync and join for just $5 a month. Check out the show notes for any links or details of things referenced in today's episode, and I look forward to chatting with you in the next one.